Hey pals, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Bronwyn, and today I'm going to be talking all about the application process of the Disney College program. So if you are just completely unaware of what the DCP is, it is a 4 to 8 month internship with the Walt Disney Company, either in Walt Disney World in Florida or the Disneyland Resort in California. I have completed 2 programs. I did Fall Advantage 2017 doing PhotoPass at Magic Kingdom, and most recently I just did the Summer Alumni program and I worked in merchandise over in Africa at Animal Kingdom. I asked over on my Instagram what questions you had about the application process because applications for Fall 2019 came out yesterday. Hopefully I actually post this when they came out yesterday, but we're gonna do our best. But I asked what questions you had about the application process and got so many responses. So I'm gonna try my best and do as many of them as I can. So let's just get into it. These are also gonna be in no particular order because I'm basically just starting from the bottom and going up. So the first one is, can online college students apply to the DCP? Yes, as long as you are enrolled in a university or college, then you are able to apply. How did you decide what area to apply to? So for me personally, my top choices for my first program were PhotoPass, Character Performer, and I think Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique, just because that sounded fun. I am a double major in dance and photography at school, so that was why Character Performer and PhotoPass were like the 2 that I thought would be best fit for what I want to do, and I got PhotoPass. So I was very lucky with that and that it pertained to what I'm actually studying in school. For the Summer Alumni program, they only offer the high demand roles, which unfortunately PhotoPass is not one of them, so I wasn't able to do that one again over the summer, but I did merchandise. That one was just kind of a like, I don't know what I want to do of these roles. I think I put interest only for merchandise and attractions, and yeah, that one was more of a just like fun summer job and another thing I could put on my resume, not necessarily like, oh, this is what I really want to do, so I'm gonna go and do this. It was just kind of like 2-month program, fun time. I got asked a lot just like, how was your process and all of that kind of stuff. So I thought I would kind of like go through my processes of applying for the Disney College program. I feel like I should preface with, I graduated from high school in 2014. So I applied for the Fall 2015 program and I was not accepted. I passed the web interview, I had my phone interview, and then 2 days before the very last day to find out if you were accepted or not, I got my no longer in consideration email, which was not fun, but it happens and it's fine because I applied again for the Fall Advantage program of 2017 because I had transferred schools within there and felt like I needed to get settled before I really could like leave and do an 8-month internship. So I applied for Fall Advantage 2017. I applied the day the applications came out. I got my web interview the same day. I scheduled my phone interview for about a week after that, so that would have been like end of January, beginning of February-ish, and I got in on March 2nd. For the Summer Alumni program, that one's a little bit different. Applications came out about a week or so after the normal fall program applications came out, and I applied the day that those came out. Again, immediately got my web interview and the phone interview, and all of the, well, I don't know about all, but the first wave of acceptances for the Summer Alumni program, like that was all in one day. It was on like March 20th or somewhere around there, and was accepted. When you applied, how long were you in submission? I'm so nervous. So first of all, don't be nervous. It is all gonna work out like it is supposed to. So the term submission, which I guess now is, they call it application received or something like that. I don't know. When I was like my very first time applying, it was submission, which basically means that your application has been submitted, but nobody has looked at it yet. This is not necessarily a bad thing. You would rather be stuck in submission than no longer in consideration. So I understand that it's really frustrating to be in that position because at that point there's nothing you can do. It's just kind of a waiting game. Don't give up hope. I know a lot of people freak out that they've been in submission for 2 days, and there are plenty of like waves of people that will then get their web-based interviews a little bit later. So many people apply for the Disney College program that they can't look through everybody's applications all at once. So I think they're just kind of grouped by, I don't know, grouped by something, and so that's how they send out the web-based interviews, is just as they get to each group, they come out. How not to lose your mind while waiting to hear if you got in. There's literally no way around it. I think the #1 thing I can tell you to do is stay off of the Facebook pages. They're great and they're a great resource for seeing, you know, who's been accepted, kind of what roles were sent out that day. But it also just like, it makes you go crazy in your head because you're like, oh my gosh, PhotoPass was my first choice and I just saw all of these people get accepted for PhotoPass. Like, that must mean that I'm not gonna get it. No, that's completely false, because there's so many waves of acceptances that you don't need to freak out if you don't get one in the very first wave and other people do. Also, another big thing to keep in mind is that not everybody is on the Facebook page or watching YouTube videos or on Twitter talking about their experience with their application and everything. So people could be accepted for something that you don't even know that they've been accepted for, and you're like, oh, nobody's gotten an acceptance yet for this role, like whatever, they just haven't sent this one out yet. When in reality, they could have accepted a ton of people for it. It's just not on, they're not on the social media pages and posting that like, hey, by the way, there's an acceptance for this. I also got a lot of questions that were like, biggest phone interview tip, or just like tips about the phone interview. And I think the biggest piece of advice I can give for that is to just be yourself. I know me personally, I get tons of messages about like, how do you respond to something like this? Like, I read that they may ask me this, how do I respond to it? How, like, what are they gonna ask me? And it's great to be prepared and to kind of have an idea of maybe what they could ask you, but they're also very much looking for authenticity. And if you are just constantly like, oh, I read online that you should say this to this answer, well, so did probably 500 other people. And if they see that everybody's saying that same exact answer, then they're gonna kind of catch on that like, huh, they just read that online. They don't actually mean that, or they may not believe that. So I think it's great to be prepared, and it's great to kind of like have an idea of what you could get asked or how you might respond to certain questions, but make sure that you are being yourself and you're answering it truthfully to how you would answer the question, and not just what somebody tells you is how you should respond. Should I apply if it doesn't relate to my major/career path? That is entirely your decision. I was lucky for at least my first program and was doing PhotoPass, which I'm a photography major, so that worked out. I know a lot of people though have that issue that like, nothing of the job offers is really gonna help me in life, so like, what's the point in doing it? I mean, that's kind of a thing that's up to you. Like, I can see why maybe you would be hesitant about doing the program, but at the same time, I know, like, me personally with PhotoPass, I learned so much more than just how to take a picture of a guest on Main Street. Like, there's so many networking connections that you can make, just how to, you know, Disney is one of the most successful companies in the world, and they're hiring people that deserve to work for the company. And I mean that in a, like, who the people that like management is, not just like college program or that kind of stuff. Like, people that are higher up in the company like deserve to be high up in the company, and having the opportunity to talk to them to see, you know, where they got started. Because guess what? A lot of people go to school for something and then get a job doing something that has nothing to do with their area of study. I know even just like at my school, one of my favorite dance professors was a social work major, and I mean, had danced her whole life, but like didn't pursue that in school, and then became a professional dancer and now teaches dance in college. So I wouldn't stress so much about like, oh, this one role doesn't exactly pertain to what I'm studying in school, so that must mean it's not going to be beneficial, because I promise no matter what your role is, it's going to be beneficial. Because I know for me, like, even if I had gotten merchandise for my first program, like, I still would have gotten so much out of it, even though I don't want to do anything technically with merchandise in my career or like what I'm studying in college. Do you recommend adding your past job experience to the application? Yes, definitely add your past work experience, but don't freak out about it. I know a lot of people will tell you like, oh, make sure, you know, in your job descriptions you have safety, courtesy, show, and efficiency, because that's what they're looking for. Those are the 4 like main things Disney focuses on, if you didn't know. So it'll be like, make sure, you know, in your job descriptions, like try and fit that in. I know when I applied for the first time I got accepted, that application, I don't think I had any of those words in there, and I had very little work experience and still got in, and I didn't have any of those keywords. I don't think I really had anything that was like super special about any of my work experience. I did get asked a lot about my work experience though in my phone interview. So I think that even if, you know, it's, oh, I worked at Chick-fil-A, but I don't want to get quick service food and beverage, so I'm just not going to put it. Like, just put all of your work experience. If they want to look at it and ask you about it, great. They may not even care. I don't know. Just put your work experience. It'll be good for you. This also, I guess, kind of ties into the thing I just answered, and they said, do you think adding Disney-friendly words in your resume is the key to passing round 1? No, I do not think it is the key. I don't even know if it's helpful. I'm sure it can't hurt you, but I don't think that it makes as big of a difference as some people may make it seem. What calmed you down when you waited to hear back? Honestly, nothing. I was a ball of nerves for like a month, but I don't know if this was actually a good idea. It worked in my favor because I got accepted, but I surrounded myself with like all things Disney. Like all I watched was Disney movies, and I like got into a bunch of DCP vloggers, and I like listened to Disney music every day, which like was great and got me so excited for the program and everything. But then was also like, I remember sitting in bed one day like watching Frozen, which I do like every day, but whatever, and was like, wow, if I don't get in, like I feel like I'm just gonna be heartbroken because I had spent so much time getting excited about it. But then I remember sitting there and I was like, well, you know what? I still have other opportunities to apply. This is not the last time that I ever have the opportunity to work for Disney. And even if I don't get accepted, I love Disney. So whatever, it'll just hype me up for the next go around. What exactly is the WBI, which is the web-based interview, and why do people talk about a pass-fail? So the web-based interview is the first step after submitting your actual application. If they think that you're a strong candidate, they'll email you a web-based interview. Personally, I don't know how the web-based interview like algorithm works of like how you should answer questions, whatever. In my mind, I think the biggest thing that they're looking for is consistency with your answers. A lot of the questions are the same thing, just asked in a different way. So it'll be something about like, are you on time? And you can be like, yes, I'm always on time. And then like 10 questions later, there'll be another one about like, are you responsible? Or do you like make, I don't know, something about like, do you have good time management skills? And if then you say, oh no, I'm not responsible, I don't have good time management, then it's like, well, that's weird because you just said that you like are always on time, which clearly if you're not responsible, you're probably not always on time. So I think that's another thing, like don't freak out about like, oh man, I don't know if I answered that question the right way, like they're gonna like, it wasn't consistent enough. Like I'm sure if you're answering them honestly, which is what you should be doing and not just putting what you think you should be putting, then you're gonna be just fine. The pass-fail thing kind of comes from, I don't know if there's a set number of questions on the web-based interview, but I know for me, it's like there's three or four different sections of the web-based interview. And when you get to the last section, you're literally just taking the questions and then all of a sudden it pops to the next page. And if you pass it, it says, next step, phone interview. And you're like, oh, cool. There's no like, you completed it. It's just like all of a sudden it tells you if you got a phone interview. I fortunately have never not passed the web-based interview, so I don't know what happens if you don't pass it, but that's why it's kind of a like pass-fail thing, because if you don't pass the web-based interview, that means you're no longer in consideration for the program. How did you handle the phone interview? I'm so nervous, but want to get in so bad. I'm gonna be honest, I've done a lot of phone interviews for this program, and it's still every time I get so nervous just because I don't know, it's just a scary thing talking to somebody on the phone. I will say though, the recruiters that they have do a great job at just making you feel calm and comfortable. Like they want you to do well. They don't want you to crash and burn. They are not trying to make you crash and burn. And I think the biggest piece of advice I can give is just try and have a normal conversation with them. I love Disney. I love talking. Who's calling me? Somebody that I can't chat with right now. Sorry. I know that I love Disney. I love talking about Disney. I love talking about like my experiences that I've had in Disney as a guest, as a cast member, whatever. So it's literally somebody calling me to talk to me about how much I love Disney. That's what goes through my head. Like they don't want to talk about themselves. They just want to hear what I have to say. And so I'm like, heck yeah, like I could talk about Disney literally forever. Like I have an entire YouTube channel dedicated to talking about Disney. So like, I feel like, especially at this point, because I know for my like summer alumni phone interview, I don't think I was asked anything other than stuff about my last program. And like, there's some like meme that always goes around Twitter I see that's like, oh, like people that have done the Disney College program like never stop talking about it. And like, literally that's me. Like I talk about Disney and the Disney College program to like no end. So I just like really enjoy now, I feel like the phone interview, that I'm just like, they just want to hear like that I like Disney and that like what I did to be an exceptional cast member, because that's what they want to hire, is people that are going to be exceptional cast members. Oh, this is fun. Not fun, it's just an interesting question. I know this is really random, but what do you do if you signed a lease for an apartment at school? So I luckily found, oh no, I didn't even find out yet. I just banked on the fact that I was hopefully gonna get in for the program, and I did not sign a lease for the following fall. I was just worried that was like, I don't want to sign and then I get accepted, because finding a subleaser in my town is really, really hard. So I was like, I don't want to apply and then not get accepted, and then I have to try and find a subleaser, and if I can't find a subleaser, then I'm out hundreds of dollars every month that I don't have. Like, that just wasn't worth it to me. So I chose not to sign a lease, and in the back of my mind, I was like, there's gonna be somewhere, if I don't get into this program, there's gonna be somewhere that I can live. Like, it's not that hard to find an apartment. So like, I just took my chances and said, forget it, we're just not gonna re-sign a lease, and I'll find somewhere else to live in the spring. And if I do, like, if I don't get accepted, then we'll go from there. Should I apply for a second program? Absolutely. How important is your GPA? I got a lot of this question a lot, that like, oh, like my grades aren't that great, or like, is my GPA high enough? I believe that they do have, maybe, I also could have 100% made this up, I don't know, Google it, but I think there's like a minimum GPA requirement. It's very low, like it's not, you don't have to have a 4.0 to do the program, but like they don't look at your grades, like they don't have access to your grades. Honestly, they probably don't even have access to your GPA. Like, I feel like maybe I made that whole sentence up. They look and make sure that like you are actually at a university and you are like enrolled in a current like college course, but outside of that, they don't, like, it doesn't really have anything to do with like academics. I feel like I'm being really picky about the roles I have an interest in. About half I have no interest in. So I get this a lot too. Do not put any interest for a role that you would not want to do, because even if you could put high interest for every single thing and put low interest for one of them, and you still have the option of getting the one you put low interest for, because you said you had some sort of interest in it. I do know from what I have gathered from other people and like seeing, you know, how things work, there's 4 high demand roles, and those are listed like in a different section when you're ranking the roles. And just about everybody that I know that puts any interest in those 4, no matter what other work experience you have, no matter what, like, whatever, how low or high you rank those, like most people, if you put interest for those, get those roles. So if you're fine with those 4 roles, then great, like awesome, and you'll get one of those roles. Like there's literally nothing wrong with the roles. They just need a lot of people for them, because like one of them's quick service food and beverage. There's so many restaurants on property, like they need a lot of people to work that, where they don't need as many people to do like photo pass, because it's a much smaller role. So that's one thing I always tell people. I'm like, even if you are like, I don't really want to do that, but like maybe, then don't put interest for it if you don't want to do it. I know for me, like there was a lot of roles that I didn't want to do, so I put no interest for them, because in my head I was like, well, I don't really think I want to take a semester off of school to do a certain role, like, and that was my decision, and whatever, I still got accepted to the program, even putting interest for certain roles and no interest for other roles. I don't think anything that I'm saying is making sense, so I really apologize. But yeah, if there's a role you don't want, put no interest. And I know some people that literally are like, all I want to do is merchandise, and they only put interest for merchandise, everything else they put no interest for, and get accepted. There's also people that do that don't get accepted. There are people that put high interest for every single role and get one of the roles. There are people that put high interest for every single role and don't get accepted at all. So I think definitely if you put that there are more roles that you want to do, you obviously have a higher chance of getting accepted, but it just kind of depends on how, I don't want to say like bad you want to do the program, because like I know I wanted to do it really bad, but I knew that like I don't want to do it if it's doing certain roles. Again, I'm blabbering, I don't know. For my first program that my first time applying, I put interest for 2 roles, didn't get accepted. The next time I applied, I think I put interest for like 7 or 8, got accepted. For summer alumni, I put interest for 2 and got accepted. So it just kind of depends on how strong of a candidate you are and how good they think you're gonna be at maybe the role that you really want. I don't know, put interest for what you want. Don't freak out that you like didn't put enough things, because they don't look at your application and say, oh, she only put interest for 3 things, we're not gonna accept her. Now, if you're not a strong candidate for those 3 roles, then you're not gonna get accepted, but they don't really care that like you have a lesser like list of things that you wanna do. Did that make sense? I don't know. If you don't get it, DM me, I'll explain it to you better. This was probably my most asked question, and it's, are you applying for the DCP? Asking like, am I applying? And you're just gonna have to wait and see if I applied or not. That's all I'm gonna say. Judging by the smile on my face, you can probably guess the answer, but you'll have to wait and see. So that is everything that I am going to answer. I hope that this helped you some, or maybe eased your mind a little bit about the application process. Good luck to everybody that is applying this season. I almost said auditioning, which if you're going to an audition, then like good luck to you also. But if you're applying, best of luck to you. If you have any other questions, I try and respond to as many DMs as I can. So find me over on Instagram, shoot me a message, comment on this video, Twitter, whatever. Just find me and I'll do my best to answer your question, or I will ask somebody and see if they know the answer if I can't answer it. I would like to throw in the disclaimer, I am not a Disney recruiter. I do not work for Disney casting. These are all just my opinions. I don't actually know like how they do what they do. This is just kind of what I have gathered and my opinion on things. So there's that. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see y'all again real soon.